Everybody ready? Well, good afternoon, and thank you again for your prompt response on today's briefing. I am joined, obviously, by at least a team that rivals what some other entity refers to as the network. This is the team that helped to ensure, along with hundreds of really great public servants, that the city was able to come through Hurricane Sandy in pretty premium condition, given the severity of the storm, the anticipation of potential devastation, and I want to thank all of these folks and all the public servants, first responders, police, fire, L&I, streets, water, and OEM, fleet management, and I'm sure I'm possibly leaving out some folks, PGW, PICO, and so many, many others. All deserve a significant amount of thanks and recognition, and we are deeply appreciative of all of your work. I'm particularly pleased that Council President Clark is here with us. You'll hear from him. District Attorney Seth Williams, School District Superintendent Dr. Height, and a couple other folks who will be speaking shortly. I've been out since very early this morning, traveling all across the city, getting to as many places as I could, visiting the city shelters that were set up in response to Hurricane Sandy, inspecting sites where trees have fallen, and there are a number of them. You'll get some stats on that in a second. Building collapses, crews cleaning up those sites, talking with residents about how they're dealing with power outages, and certainly in close communication with PICO as well. I was joined on some of those visits also by U.S. Senator Bob Casey and Congresswoman Allison Schwartz. Above all, I think that the City of Philadelphia managed to ride out this storm very well, very high grades in all regards. An excellent plan, well prepared, well executed, and now dealing with assessment, cleanup, and restoration. And it's because of that, and because our citizens get a ton of information from a variety of places, utilize that information as best they can, and exercise good judgment, that we were fortunate that we only had one minor injury through this entire episode, which is incredible in and of itself. And so I want to commend all the citizens of the City of Philadelphia for your support, your patience, your commitment, your dedication, your looking after each other, and also heeding the numerous warnings, whether from all the way from President Barack Obama or down to myself and the Council President and many, many others. So far, Hurricane Sandy has resulted in more than 65,000 Philadelphia customers are without power, but I can assure you that PICO crews are working hard to cut that number down as much as possible. And when we have hard numbers to give you on that, we will update you periodically, but we've been in very close communication with PICO. We've gotten reports of at least 340 trees down, some landing, unfortunately, on vehicles or on structures or out in the streets and blocking our roadways. And again, one of the main reasons we have so much power out is because when the trees come down, more oftentimes than not, they come down on power lines. PICO is currently working to restore about 120 of these downed power lines. Of course, they are most dangerous and in some instances are arcing and can create that much more danger to citizens if they're anywhere near them. 3 parks and recreation crews worked overnight last night to clean up many of the trees that were already down. 6 crews are out now and working today. I saw one of those crews, and I also know that private contractors are working with us to help with the cleanup. Beginning tomorrow, actually we'll activate the emergency tree contracting crews to help clear as much of the trees and the debris as possible. Department of Licenses and Inspections has responded to 46 requests and reports, rather, for structural conditions. The Streets Department is working to fix 73 traffic signals that were knocked out of service. Road closures. Delaware Avenue is still closed at Ray Street. We had a sudden surge late this afternoon. After the early morning surge had receded, we had a second surge on Delaware Avenue from the Delaware River. Martin Luther King Drive and Kelly Drive are still closed, but we expect will open relatively soon. That was not due to flooding. That is solely about trees and debris. Callowhill Street to Dock Street is closed due to Delaware River flooding. In all three of our city Red Cross shelters, Roxborough, West Philly, and Fells, we house more than 380 people. Right now, we are sheltering somewhat less than 250. We will continue to keep our shelter operations open until we can determine that all public safety conditions in the areas from which those citizens came have been addressed. City outreach teams also went into the streets this weekend and worked to shelter more than 130 homeless individuals and help them get to emergency shelters during the storm. In addition, the city's Emergency Operations Center is still operational and working to support our shelter operations and crews on the street working to clean up. All SEPTA buses except Route 55, trolleys, subway, and L trains are up and running as of noon today. This is a spectacular achievement by SEPTA to get all of that service up in such a relatively short period of time. As we mentioned, the assessment process started at 6 a.m. It usually takes anywhere from 6 to 8 hours. That announcement was made at approximately 11:15 this morning to get all of that service up and running, and we are very, very proud of the job that SEPTA did. But once again, with the service going down, it demonstrates why mass transit is so important and why it's so important for us to support mass transit. Regional Rail is suspended because it shares tracks with Amtrak, but the focus is on restoring service for tomorrow morning's rush hour. For the city, I'm pleased to announce, and we've talked with all of our key stakeholder partners, the City of Philadelphia will be open for business tomorrow. The city courts and the federal courts will be open. You'll hear from Council President Clark and District Attorney Seth Williams about their respective offices. You'll hear from Dr. Height in a second about the school district. I am pleased to report, though, that archdiocesan schools will be open, and we expect charter schools to open as well. As I did earlier today, I want to acknowledge again the hard work that was done by all of our public safety, first responder, and emergency management personnel. They are and will continue to do a fantastic job out in the streets and in many instances putting their lives in danger to help the people of this great city. I heard a story from Fire Commissioner Ayers today, and I want to mention it here as an example of the great work that our first responders have been doing. And there are many, many stories. At about 9:30 p.m. last night, 911 received multiple calls about a fire in a twin three-story residence at 5th and Cheltenham in the East Oak Lane section of the city. Fire companies responded to that call and saw a roof on one side of the building on fire. This hurricane and tropical storm force winds were so strong that it essentially turned a two-alarm fire into a blowtorch. The fire spread to another twin dwelling. It took almost 3.5 hours to contain it. The amazing part of this story, and the reason that I wanted to mention it, is that the firefighters, because of their expertise and training, were able to contain this fire despite severe winds, and it did not spread any further. Fire and EMS responded to more than 1,300 emergency incidents last night. That's 300 more than the previous record of 1,000 that was set during Hurricane Floyd in 1999. Great service. So again, let us thank our first responders and our public safety personnel for their work during this storm. As we continue to assess the damage and cleanup around the city, we will call upon, of course, our state and federal partners and Philadelphians themselves to help get our city up and running at full speed. Earlier today, I participated in a call with President Barack Obama and mayors up and down the East Coast and governors as well in the affected cities and states. All of us wanted to reassure those cities or states that were hit the hardest that to the extent that we can, we will certainly lend personnel and expertise to those places, specifically certainly New Jersey and New York. President Obama assured his full support to all of us. He told us that he has ordered his team to cut the red tape of the federal bureaucracy and to provide us with as much assistance as possible. His exact quote was, "Tell us what you need and what your priorities are, and I will personally work to make it happen." It was tremendously reassuring from the President earlier today. Residents can still contact us by continuing to call the 311 call center to report down trees or wires, flooding, traffic conditions, or other complaints. The system has done an outstanding job this entire weekend into the first of the week and will continue to do so through the cleanup. People should download the 311 app. They can also go to Facebook and the 311 page or send a tweet to @Philly311. If you haven't already done so, please contact your utility provider if you are out of some particular service. You can get all of those numbers from the 311 call center. With that, let me call up Superintendent Dr. William Hite.
Good afternoon. First, I want to thank the mayor and the members of his team for providing us with outstanding support during this emergency. I'm happy to announce that we are ready to open all schools tomorrow as per our usual schedule. We will expect some very minimal delays with transportation with their yellow buses tomorrow as they navigate the streets of the city. There may also be some delays as our students make their way to and from school using public transportation. Our maintenance staff and building engineers are working around the clock to make sure that our buildings are sufficiently ready to receive both students and staff. We expect to have a normal day tomorrow, and it will be a full day, and we look forward to seeing all of our students back at school. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I'd like to say that our hearts and our prayers go out to those residents up and down the East Coast who have not found themselves as fortunate as us. There have been numerous deaths, significant damage, and we want to say, again, Mayor, thank you for lending a hand to those individuals. So I just want to say our prayers go out to those individuals. Second of all, I'd like the Mayor, I want to thank our response team. It's been great. It's been, again, aggressive, proactive, getting information out there. Got minimal calls because we were out there telling people what was going on, so it was very helpful. Mayor, I want to thank you and your local team within the government, the wonderful response that you've done. You've been all over the place. Every time I turn the TV on, you're some part of the city, and I think that's a great thing because people need to feel comfortable that somebody's in charge of this particular issue. I want to commend you. And I'd like to say that I want to thank the citizens of the city of Philadelphia. They paid attention to our recommendations to stay in the house, and I think that caused minimum damage as it relates to bodily harm. People stayed off the streets. Interesting enough, Mayor, when I left yesterday's briefing, I drove down Broad Street, stopped at the light, and a limb fell on my car. And that just let me know how significant the issue was with respect to staying in the house. So I want to thank those citizens. And lastly, I just want a little bit of housekeeping. I want to say City Council will be open. We will have a public hearing, 10 o'clock, Rules Committee. We will discuss zoning code issues and probably appropriate that we have a hearing previously scheduled to talk about stream buffers and river buffers. So that hearing is in fact on at 10 o'clock, and we'd ask anyone who had previously had reservations about coming down to please come down. So again, Mayor, thank you so much for your leadership on this issue.
Mr. Attorney.
Thank you, and good afternoon. I just want to reiterate Council President's words of thanks to the mayor and to this wonderful emergency response team for all the work that they did prior to the storm and during the storm and now after the storm, providing great help and service to Philadelphians. I just want to remind all victims and witnesses that had court dates yesterday and today that they will receive subpoenas for future court dates for the continued and new dates for the defendants that might have missed their day with justice yesterday and today. So they will receive court notices of the new court dates, and we expect them all to come to court on those days. I'd also like to remind and thank the police commissioner for his work. Members of the district attorney's office, our charge unit, were open 24 hours a day during the storm, as always, and there was continued tremendous cooperation and communication between the police department and the district attorney's office during those trying times. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Just a couple of updates that I know are important to folks for tomorrow. I have been told that the regional rail line to the airport will be operating tomorrow, and I would like to thank our partners at both SEPTA and Amtrak for pulling that off. Most of the employees at the airport get there through regional rail. SEPTA will be making an announcement later today on the rest of the regional rail system, but the airport line will operate normally tomorrow. As it relates to the airport, we expect operations to begin to normalize as airlines and airplanes make their way back into Philadelphia to start to operate at a full schedule. While it won't be exactly normal because those planes and crews have scattered off the East Coast due to the storm, they have started to come back this evening, and we expect by the end of the day tomorrow that all airport operations will be normal. Thank you. Trash?
Yeah.
I'm going to let Karina do it. Yep.
We're pleased to report that trash and recycling collections will resume their normal schedule tomorrow. That means all who have Wednesday collections should put their materials at the curbside for Wednesday. Those that had Monday or Tuesday collections should hold their materials until next Monday or Tuesday. Our crews continue to do cleanup, and there's no opportunity for the additional work. So Wednesday collections will resume tomorrow on Wednesday.
Police and fire. Fire and police.
Good afternoon. One of the things I wanted to make the public aware of is our urban search and rescue team was demobilized from a Pennsylvania state asset this morning at 9. They were mobilized as a federal asset at 9:30 this morning, and they have departed for upstate New York and other parts of New York to assist in the bringing those folks back to normal and rescue if they have to. Also, we have strike teams from all over the state of Pennsylvania, 35 strike teams, 5 medic units in each strike team that have been deployed into the state of New Jersey, and we have our leadership down there supporting them and doing those things. We had a record number of responses yesterday, again, as you heard. We're just thankful to the citizens that they supported us, made sure that we had the opportunity to do the things that we had to do out there to make sure we had dedication and service out there with the medic units, with the calls for wires, etc. So again, thank you, and we're pretty much getting back to normal.
Thank you. Effective with our last out group starting tonight, we'll be going back to 8-hour shifts for all of our personnel. We're going back to normal slowly. Primarily, right now, it's traffic control at some of the intersections that still have traffic signals out and a few trees that are still down blocking various streets and so forth. We've got those streets blocked off, and there's still some minor flooding in some areas. We had 18,000 calls for service from Sunday night to 8 a.m. this morning, which is about 500 more than last year during the same period of time, which sounds like a lot, but actually 500 more isn't all that bad considering the severity of the storm and the concern that people had about the storm. People basically utilized 311, and we really do appreciate that.
We continue to operate the shelters as long as OEM and the mayor deem it necessary and appropriate for us to provide for families. I just want to take a brief moment to thank all of our partners, the fire department, the police department, Salvation Army. The American Red Cross could not do what we do without the partnerships that we have with the city and the other agencies. And I just want to thank you. Right now, the mayor has given you our shelter count, but we will continue to stay open as long as it's necessary to protect the families of our community. If you have any questions, you can reach us at 215-299-4000, or you can check our website, redcrossphilly.org, and that will have all the information you need about Philadelphia and the surrounding community. But I just want to thank Philadelphia for being prepared and being Red Cross ready. Thank you.
Before I bring the last speaker up, let me just say that it's because of the great leadership and foresight of both the Chief of Staff, who's the Deputy Mayor for Public Safety, and the coordination that comes from Rich Negrin and his shop, and Giselle Jones, Deputy Mayor for Administration and Coordination, and the Managing Director, that we're able to put this array of talented public employees and the leadership here together. But with any major operation, of course, there has to be one person who truly pulls everything together and is the leader of the organization, takes a command and control role. And that person, of course, is the director of the Office of Emergency Management. When we are in this kind of mode, when we go into the EOC, there is one person who is in charge and in control and can direct any of the assets and leadership, including myself, to take certain actions. And for that, we are very appreciative and want to recognize the great skill and talent of our Director of the Office of Emergency Management, Samantha Phillips. Sam?
Good afternoon. Thank you for those kind words, Mayor Nutter. And, I stand here with a team of really wonderful people, and it's very easy to be the Director of Emergency Management when you're surrounded by folks like this. I also just want to take this opportunity to say that I am part of a team, and I have a team of folks that have been sleeping and working at shelters and in the Emergency Operations Center and preparing the city for well over a week now, and they are back still working and will be working for the next couple of days, but the team at OEM really deserves a big round of applause as well. When we were preparing for this storm, I was contacted by numerous partner agencies from across the nation saying, we're here to help, we'll deploy our staff to you guys. And we have also offered to our partners in New Jersey and New York City that we're able to do the same if they call on us. But we still have a little bit more work to do here in the city of Philadelphia. We have folks in shelters. The EOC is still activated as we work with the Streets Department and the Water Department and Fairmount Parks to just finish the cleanup of the city, and we'll keep doing that until we're very confident that everybody can return home safely. Just one final administrative update. The state of emergency that Mayor Nutter declared on Sunday is expiring at 5 p.m. today, as stated in the declaration. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. With that, I'd be glad to take any questions that you might have. I would not have figures on either one of those at the moment, but I'm sure somewhere in the next couple of days, as we do after any major event, we'll be able to get information to you about that. Just like the snowstorms, we fight the battle. We put the people in place that we need to, and we'll do all those calculations later. But our primary focus is on public safety, and that is the premium that we put on it, and we utilize the folks that we need no matter what.
How much longer do you think it will take for the city to resolve all of the aftermath?
I think I don't want to speculate on that for the moment. I'll probably be in a little better position to respond to that maybe somewhere in the next 24 hours. There'll be another situation briefing for all of us and the team, and when we get that information, we'll let you know. But obviously, crews will continue to work on cleaning up the streets, traffic signals back in place. There's still a lot of work to be done, and I would expect most of that is going to continue through the course of the next week or so, at least. Yes. No, not really. I mean, the only area where we really saw any flooding, of course, we had coastal flooding from the Delaware. It did set a new record, 10.62 feet. The previous record was 10.5. We saw that flooding early this morning, and then another surge this afternoon. We have not seen that, best I know, on the Schuylkill. And the Manioc area where we were yesterday and kind of got drenched together, we did not see that activity, and I think River Road was okay as well. This is a very unusual storm on the one hand. On the other hand, we do in fact take every possible precaution and preparation. We would always rather be over-prepared than under-ready. I'll take the first one. That question doesn't really come up because we all know what the process is. The President signed a declaration of emergency for Pennsylvania and a number of states, I think maybe 2 days ago. There's a significant protocol and process in place. We have to get I know I'll mess this up, but and Sam will fix it for me. We have to get our damage assessment probably to PEMA first. That's the state agency. They will collect all of that material. The actual application that the President signs comes from the state. So again, I want to, and I've done this a couple of times, I certainly want to do it today, thank Governor Corbett and Lieutenant Governor Cawley and their team for their coordination with us. This is a process that takes some time. We have so many stakeholders that we have to gather information from. So, I mean, it's not like I'm going to get on the phone and say, hey, Mr. President, could you send me some money? There is a process. Everyone knows that process. It is underway because the pre-application materials have been sent in, and then it's a matter of gathering that data and information, getting it up to FEMA, and then at some point in time, resources come back to us. On the schools, there's a second part.
Sure. Information is available on the school district website. Also, parents can contact the school administration, the leadership at the school, or they can call our hotline, and that number is 215-400-4636.
Dr. Height, did any school buildings suffer any significant damage that you're aware of?
No, we did not suffer any significant damage. We've been in buildings all day today. And they will be in buildings throughout the evening. We did have some buildings without power, but it has since been restored. And we do have a few that are still without power, and we anticipate those being restored by tomorrow morning.
And the hotline number again?
3646. I'm sorry, 4636.
Last count I had was 380 across the 3 sites, and the current census is less than 250 across the 3 sites. All 3 sites are still open.
How long are they remaining open?
They'll remain open as long as we determine that we need them. That's a joint decision amongst OEM. At this point, until they're no longer needed, what will happen, as we're already seeing, they will start to depopulate on their own. People will start to go back to their respective homes or someone else's home, et cetera, and then there's a point where it's clear that we don't need the shelters anymore.
And parking regulations, are they back in effect tomorrow?
I would expect, that was, yes, yeah. I would take it that Rhina says yes. The answer is yes. I would take it that the Parking Authority is probably removing the wrappings from the kiosks, and they'll be in their full, efficient operational mode tomorrow.
Mayor, do you know what the most common emergency incidents were, and were there any particular neighborhoods that reported them more than
I mean, I'm assuming the bulk of the 311 calls were trees, power lines, clogged inlets, yeah, that kind of stuff, and just general information requests. Yes. I don't know the answer to that question. I think it's a... Yeah, I mean, their crews are out working now, and again, some may be more related to, I mean, if there's no power in that particular neighborhood, it's not so much that we have to fix them, we just need the power back on. So the ones that we can fix, we're fixing. Others are power related.
Mayor, given you mentioned the power outages, given the strain on the Northeast generally and also other areas of Pennsylvania, any concerns from your perspective about the election a week from today and making sure voting machines, those kinds of things can be up and running?
Based on our experience last year, again, and this was a topic of some significance on the call with President Obama, the bulk of the governors and mayors were talking about power outages, and the president indicated that he was actually expecting to be in some conversations himself with some CEOs of various power companies. I don't know which ones, and he didn't say. From our experience, thinking about last year, PECO and their employees did a fantastic job. Every time they said it would take X amount of time to get somebody up and running, it took less. And so I recall mentioning that it was going to take 3 days to get however many people up, and it was less. A week to get folks up, it was less than that. So they bring additional personnel in. I expect they'll do the same thing, and we're getting a full briefing from PECO about that. The short answer to your question is I do not expect that the hurricane will have any effect on the ability of people to vote a week from now. And I take this opportunity to remind folks Election Day is next Tuesday, November 6th. Whoever you're for, make sure you go out and vote on Election Day. Last question. Great. Thanks for being out. I wanted to wrap up all this.